Did you enjoy your break? Did you get some coffee? Well, sit down, buckle in. It's time for part 2. Conspiracy theory research. We're about to have fun. You might ask, what is my proof, or why do I believe that we are getting a proper screwing from the powers that be? Well, I'll let you in on a couple of little things. Welcome once again to the Opinionated Prepper. I'm still Steve. I think I'm still Steve. I don't know. I misplaced my tinfoil hat, so I might be getting some signals putting me somewhere else. But I kind of want to get right into it. You know, I hear a lot of people talking about weather manipulation. Hear a whole lot of people talking about the earthquake in Turkey and how things are getting, let's just say, sporty for us. And some say it's the solar maximum. Some say it's the solar minimum. I think there is, but some who have their tinfoil hat on securely think it has to do with HAARP and it has to do with weather manipulation. Now, a lot of people will tell you that HAARP has nothing to do with weather. It's the ionosphere and it's radio signals and it's this and that and the other thing. Well, they kind of respond to HAARP. They call it the heater. It's an ionospheric heater. It heats up the plasma. It heats up the ionosphere. And there's studies and proof that shows that when there is a hot, turbulent ionosphere, the upper atmosphere stirs, and there's turmoil and there's trouble around the poles. And that all tends to come down, and we have storms that you may have noticed over the last few years. Well, yeah, but there's no proof of that. Okay, no proof. Here's last year at the top, this past winter, 25 unreal pictures of the 15-foot record snowfall in California right now. It got worse than that, and down below, notice the date, March 14th, 2022, almost a full year before the snowstorms. Scientists in the U.S. are flying planes into clouds to make it snow more. Now, one might speculate that it's peculiar that a group of peoples who has never seen snow in their life saw a whole lot of snow. Just makes you kind of wonder, but weather manipulation isn't around, right? Everybody's heard about cloud seeding. You know, how they can kind of push the clouds and how they can shoot some stuff up into the atmosphere and everything, and they can make it rain where it wasn't raining, and they can make it dry where it was raining too much. People call that a conspiracy theory, and it's not true. It's been around, it's been reported on since the 70s. Do you happen to remember all of the talk of possibly wanting to divert the Mississippi River because we were at such an extreme drought for the Colorado River and the Hoover Dam and Lake Mead and blah 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 is at record lows, and Euphrates drying up and all of that stuff? Well, look, a string of brutal atmospheric rivers imperils a California already weakened by drought. Well, rain-making experiments boom amid worsening drought. It almost kind of seems, I don't know, maybe it seems like it might have got a little bit out of hand. A string of atmospheric rivers, not just one. And you know, water will melt snow even if it's really cold. So you have all of the melting snow. Then you have all of the rain on top of the snow, and it's melting it faster than it really would. And then dams burst, rivers overflow, you get mudslides, you get catastrophe. And what is the western region of the United States going through right now, along with a brand new hurricane that brought everything up? But it just makes you kind of wonder, why would they do this? Why would they want to do this? Well, I mean, I'm not saying that I don't want to say nefarious. I mean, you can say that they're nefarious, but they might have the right intentions. I mean, a whole nation of people were looking at food shortages. They were looking at dying a pretty painful death, because nobody wants to die of thirst. I haven't known anybody to do it, but I've heard people talk about it. And it doesn't sound like a fun experience. So let's say they want to help. But then let's say they have some nefarious means. Say they want some land, and what they can't really do for eminent domain, they offer some prices, but people don't want to get rid of their land. It's happened in the past before. So something happens, a death in the family, or an accident where you may need money, or a house burns to the ground, or there's extreme drought and you can't pay your loans because the harvest didn't come in very good, or there's an extreme flooding which ruins your crop, so you can't pay your loan because your harvest is gone, so you lose your property to the bank. And then certain people, places, and things can just scoop right in and take it. Oh, they wouldn't do that. Well, they did it before, and it kind of seems like they might want to be doing it again. Hawaii works to pause land transactions in area of deadly Maui wildfires. Follow live updates. What's going on right now, and what the government of Maui is trying to stop, is land developers are coming in and they're trying to buy the devastated land for pennies on the dollar for development, to build new skyscrapers and this and that and the other thing. Well, the government, in all their benevolence, is trying to stop these vulture capitalists from taking advantage of people, of buying up their land when such misery just befell them, right? These are the good guys. Okay, you see the bottom of it? Governor Green wants to turn Lahaina, Maui into state lands, reads one Instagram post to share the video. All planned for smart cities. Now, I checked with this, and I'll put a disclaimer on it. Fact checkers proved it to be false, and they said that it was from some news interview that he gave, and he didn't say that to the reporters. The people got it wrong. Now, I didn't go back and didn't watch, and it could have been that they got it wrong, but there were reports on it before, and with all of the peculiar things going on, as in the rezoning and things that came up just weeks before, saying that when there was an emergency or a catastrophe, historically protected land could be seized and it wouldn't be historically protected anymore, and they could do what they wanted to do. And there were people that said to the city and to the Lahaina area, I'm not going to sell my land. So it could be just speculation, but it might be that there were plans for that land. And I posted a link from an investigation, a video piece that was really good. You might want to watch it. But it might have been that there were plans for that land that the city had an agenda for, one might say. And they were trying to get rid of the people that was on the land, and they were trying to get rid of the restrictions that stopped them, or at least hindered them from purchasing the land. And then they saw some other greedy people come in trying to buy up the land, and they wouldn't be able to use the land for what they wanted to. So now they're pleading, and they're putting a halt to all land transactions, so things can calm down a little bit. I'm sure that's exactly what it was. Government wouldn't do anything to hurt you, right? Here's one that I've talked about that actually gets me. I don't know if you can really see it. Up at the top, it says carbon storage, a win-win situation for farmers and climate. Agriculture generates about 10% of the United States greenhouse gas emissions. Farmers are using cover crops and other techniques to store some of these emissions while still improving their yield. Well, in my previous video, just a little bit earlier, I was talking about an article where they said that people were encouraging farmers to improve, I guess you could say, for lack of better words, to stimulate soil growth, to improve the soil quality by adding basalt and adding some crystals into the soil that traps the greenhouse gases, the CO2 emissions, and all of that stuff. And then it's broken down and more important nutrients come up through there, and the CO2, the gases, are diverted harmlessly into the water. And when you do that and you enrich the CO2 into the soil, it increases the crop yield. It sure does. And that's what it just said, improving their crop yield. But look at the bottom. Major crops lose nutrients when grown in elevated carbon dioxide levels. Rice, which we have a shortage of now, wheat, which we have a shortage now, and other staple crops lose nutrients when exposed to high levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, according to recent studies. The only problem is, it wouldn't be just in the atmosphere, it would be in the ground too. And that would be a double boost of losing nutrients. One might think, I don't know, I'm not a biologist, I'm not a very good farmer. You know, you'd have to ask somebody. But I find it very peculiar, you know, because we find out that the government tells us that we should do something because something is good for us. You know, labs and science, we're working really, really hard to keep you safe and to give you a better quality of life. Just do this. Just take what we tell you to take, eat what we tell you to eat, drink what we tell you to drink, do what we tell you to do. But then, seemingly recently, it used to be years later we find out it's bad for us. Now we're finding out months later it's bad for us. And not only is it bad for us, the government knew it was bad for us. They kept data from us. They covered data up. They falsified things. That's happening more and more and more. So who are you going to trust when the government tells you it's for your own good? Is it really for your own good? And are they following the laws which they're telling you that you need to follow? You know, I can remember back a couple of years ago, we weren't allowed to go to work. We weren't allowed to go outside. Some states weren't allowed to improve their homes, work on their gardens, or use their boat. But you saw all of the elites, the politicians, the actors, you saw everybody that mattered able to do all they wanted to do and more. And it was better for them because they didn't have to worry about being nuisanced with the likes of us. Here's one thing that made me kind of raise my eyebrow when I saw it last year. Remember, effective early treatment with one, and we know one, it was a horse medicine, and another that we knew used to reduce bacteria in fish tanks, and it was for fish. And we noticed that it worked for us, that it stopped, that our cough lessened, that it was a very good thing. But there was a whole lot of news all over the place. Oh, a guy died because he used aquarium cleaner and blah, blah. Well, maybe he did, but that was a derivative of it, and he probably did way too much. And they weren't talking about using that. And another one, they're saying to use the horse paste for blah blah blah, and Joe Rogan got thrashed because of it when he didn't say that. But I want you to remember that and bring it to mind while you look at the bottom. I'll bring it up again. Over-the-counter livestock antibiotics to be banned. Now, why would that even really matter? Why is it that for years and years and years and years, and we know that one of the medicines that was over-the-counter got moved to by prescription only, but now you can't even get over-the-counter with animal quality for those things, amongst other things, because now you have to go to a vet, and the vet's got to prescribe it to you. So now again, you're stuck having to get a prescription, and you can't get anything over the counter. Well, it meant a little bit to me when I first saw that they were going to ban it and that it was going to be prescribed by a vet and everything, but I wasn't putting two and two together until this new resurgence, when everybody now is talking about mask mandates and lockdowns and all of that again, yet again. So, and there's a new booster too, ladies and gentlemen, so that'll save your life. I recommend you go and get it. But either which way, people that were taking some medicine that was meant for animals and it was helping them with COVID, they don't have that option anymore because it's not sold over the counter. You have to get a prescription from your vet. So they took that away from us. So now everybody's going to have to run, and got no choice between Remdesivir, which don't let them give it to you. I will say that. Anybody who knows the stuff and knows the history and knows my family, knows what happened with my mother, will tell you, don't take it. Don't let them give it to you. Period. Or you can get that nice jab that they new and improved. Now with riboflavin. Sorry, my dog scared the hell out of me. I didn't know what the hell he was doing. But still, it kind of, do you see what I'm doing here, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen? I'm researching this, and I'm making the collages and the templates and the posts to try to edify you that what they tell you is not what they said in the past. And what they told you in the past is not how it really is. That they're twisting the narrative, that they're changing the stuff. Look at this one. March 22nd of this year, Wells Fargo lists financial instability is the biggest economic risk post-Fed decision. Now, this is a very, very big thing with me over the last few days because I've been researching it in depth. And ladies and gentlemen, trust me when I tell you it is a very, very bad thing. I'm not going to go into detail because it takes a lot. But just know that as asset prices go down and you make less money for that asset, the need for more assets goes up for you to be qualified for a loan. And if you don't have enough assets, you will not get approved for the loan. When it comes to government bonds, they're buying back the older bonds that are coming into maturity. But in order to do that, they're having to borrow more money at a higher interest rate. So it costs them more to buy back less. As the price goes down and as everybody is flooding the market because they want to get rid of the old bonds that are paying 1% and they want to get the new bonds that's paying almost 5%, so they're selling off their old crap for a lesser value and they're buying the cheaper at a higher rate to get more interest rates. So they're more or less getting good, but our government's getting screwed. There's reports out there that show that if a nation goes over 120% of their debt over their gross domestic product, it's point of no return. We were at that place once, right before World War II. We are at that place again now. We got out of it because of the World War. We won't be able to get out of it because of this war, because now we have Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and all of the programs that have money dedicated to it that we didn't have back then. So we're still going to need to spend. And the big problem with it is, I told you I wasn't going to get into it, but either which way, as things start getting more expensive, there's less jobs. Less jobs mean less taxes. You can't buy the stuff anymore, less capital gains tax. There's not as much activity, less corporate tax. So it's costing the government more money to borrow, and they're taking in less money in taxes. I think it was down 10% this year, but yet their cost of borrowing was up 10%. So a 20% difference that we're looking at right now, folks. And that's just not the United States government. That's Chinese government. That's the entire world. And the banks aren't immune to it. That's what the banks are going through right now. They do not have money because they made poor investments. Their government bonds aren't worth the face value of it anymore. Their assets, although the assets have more or less doubled in price, it doesn't keep up with inflation. All of their asset values are going down, which means they need more assets to be able to borrow money. And they've already lost a ton of money in aftermarkets. So they have no money to give you. As soon as you give them your money, it's not yours anymore. It's theirs. They're keeping an eye on it for you, but they're allowed to do whatever they want to do with it, as long as they promise to give it back. But because of the bail-in laws, since the government doesn't bail them out anymore, the bail-in laws says that they have a right to take a percentage of your money, and they can reimburse you with stocks. Wow, I'm going to get stocks from a bank that's going under. Their stock is getting worthless more and more every day, and they're going to recompense me with that stock. Nope, don't want it. And then when you look at places, and I don't want to just say Warren Buffett, but if you look at BlackRock has pulled out enormously from the US market, and they're moving their money over into emerging markets, into other countries that are fresh on the scene, up and comers. That's a big thing because BlackRock owns everything. Sooner or later, in order for the government to be able to stop the hemorrhaging, they're going to do financial restrictions. They're going to put in regulations, just like the exit tax that California has right now, that if you live in our state, you're going to pay taxes, but in order to leave our state, you're going to pay taxes. It's going to be the same way. The government is going to impose taxation on companies that are trying to get the hell out of a sinking freaking ship. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And it's getting worse and worse for us. Because although it's the rich people that they hired all of those IRS agents for, and it's the rich people that are only going to be taxed, if you do any business on Etsy or eBay and you make $600 for the month, you have to report it. Digital cash is going to make it to where you can't hide any of your transactions at all. Everything's going to be taxed. You're taxed when you go to the store, you're taxed when you buy something, and you're taxed if you sell something. That's something that's always made me mad. You buy something for brand new, you've had it for a while, you pay taxes on it whenever you buy it brand new. You have it for a while, you get the use out of it, and then you decide you don't want it anymore, so I'm going to have a yard sale, or I'm going to post it on Marketplace or something like that. Now you have to pay taxes to sell it. You're paying taxes twice around, the government's getting money twice around. We already don't own anything. You think you own your land? What do you get once a year? You need to pay taxes on it, and if you don't pay taxes on it, they're going to come and get you. You pay a whole lot of money to get land, and then you pay a little bit of money on that land every year, so you're still renting it. Thanks to the taxes, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to get much, much worse. And if you notice at the bottom, just 6 hours ago, Wells Fargo not working. Bank confirms intermittent issues. Well, watch the past couple of videos. Sorry about that. Watch the last couple of videos that I posted about that. I think they are bankrupt. And I think whenever Big Daddy Fed comes and turns off the spigot, and all the little brothers turn around and say, no, we're not giving you any money. You already owe us money. You haven't paid us for the Kit Kat bar that you got yesterday. Once they turn off the tap, they're completely bone dry and they can't pay their bills. Their bills are you. You gave them your money. Now you want your money back. They went and bought another Kit Kat bar and they ate it, and now they don't have anything to give you. It's gone. It's pretend fairy dust. It's a dream. You demand it back. They need to give you something, because if they don't, it starts to cause a panic. Look at SVB. Look at all the other banks. People have pulled out $3 trillion from the deposits. They're not depositing any much. They're making an exit from the banks, and that's scaring the banks. So they don't want to tell you, sorry, we spent all your money. What can they tell you? Sorry, you're breaking it. I can't hear. Sorry, we have a problem with our debit cards. We have a problem with processing your transaction. We have a problem with the ATMs. We'll resolve this issue quickly. Nice little bank holiday. Nice little everything. Thanks to that darned old technology, they don't have to tell you what's really going on. And if you think throwing a fit, and if you think telling the truth is going to matter, let me remind you something. Biden suggests Trump will not take power again if he runs in 2024. Well, we all can tell by that picture of that sourpuss right there in the bottom. How are they doing it? How are they going to stop him from running? And even if he does run in 2024, how are they going to stop him from getting power? Well, they'll make it to where arrests make you void from being president. I'll put it like that. You know, they'll say, nope, sorry, something just passed. If you have a criminal record, you can't run for president. They'll do something like that. If nobody's having that, see if we have any elections. But they're trying, folks. He's the first and only president that's ever gotten arrested, and he got arrested for such BS. It's complete and utter crap. You know, they're proving to everybody, they're making a point now. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, but if you squeak too loud, we'll just pull you out and put something else in place. You know, if they can do it to a president, they can do it to you and me. And calling them out on their BS, all it's going to do is put a target on your back. Hence, R.I. Pieces, Yevgeny Prigozhin. I guess Trump can be happy that he's still kicking and he's around and alive to get a mugshot. So what can you guys do? First, you can like, share, and subscribe. Didn't think I was going to get that segue in, did you? Segway, son of a bitch. I must be hungry. I'm always doing that. Didn't think I was going to get that segue in, did you? But still, do me a favor. I'm working hard for you guys, trying to get you to laugh and be an idiot. But, yeah, you need to prepare. You need to get ready. There's a whole lot of shortages going on right now. Tell you what, I'll give you a little guideline and a list. If you do not know how to start a fire with your urine, you're not prepared enough. If you don't know what natural scents will repel mosquitoes, you're not prepared enough. If all of your money is now locked up because your debit card's getting declined and transactions aren't going through, you're not prepared enough. And if you have to get on your phone to order something to eat because you either don't have any food in your house or you just don't have the energy, you're not prepared enough. God willing, we'll see you tomorrow.